Welcome, forest friends. It's time to enter the forest and see what we discover. Open your mind and wander with us for a bit.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling a really big one. A critical mission, you could say.
We're peeling back the layers on one of the biggest challenges in professional fields right now.
Especially in education. I'm talking about cognitive overload.
Emotional exhaustion, burnout. It's a crisis.
And the question we're asking is, can a new kind of technology actually help?
That's right. Our focus is the Alder Branch AI ecosystem, and we're digging into whether its very specialized AI can be, a real solution to this problem.
Okay, so what are we working with? What are the sources?
We've got a lot. Detailed architectural documents, case studies on more than 24 of their expert AI personalities.
We're going to meet a few of them, right?
Yeah.
Hadley, Lincoln, Carlos.
Yep. And we're also looking at the research it's all built on, which is, and this is key, it's deeply rooted in cognitive science.
Like Sweller's cognitive load theory.
Exactly that. And also major educational frameworks, like John Hattie's visible learning.
So the big picture for us, the real mission here, is to figure out if this is just another tech tool or something else.
Right. Is it something that can actually shift a professional's focus? If you can offload all the compliance paperwork and the repetitive tasks.
Does that free up the human to do what only humans can do?
Exactly. The complex problem solving, the emotional intelligence, the actual, human connection.
It's a huge question. And it seems like the sources, they start by framing just how big the crisis is.
They really do. They make it clear this isn't about people not working hard enough.
Yeah.
It's a systemic issue.
Yeah.
The system itself is just exhausting the people inside it.
You see it everywhere. Teachers are burning out.
School leaders are trying to put out, and I think this is a direct quote, 1 million daily fires.
And parents are they're lost,
Yeah.
overwhelmed, disconnected.
Yeah. And when we talk about this overload, it's not just being busy.
Right. The documentation gets scientific about it. It links directly to this idea of cognitive load theory.
Absolutely. We have to ground it in the science to get it. John Sweller's work, it basically says our working memory, the part of our brain juggling immediate tasks, it's incredibly limited. Finite capacity.
Totally finite. And if you push past that limit, learning stops. Decision-making falls apart. The sources say cognitive overload occurs when the total cognitive load exceeds the working memory capacity. It's that simple.
And in a place like a school, that total load is it's immense.
Oh, it's unbelievable. You've got student data, parent emails, lesson planning, new curriculum, state laws.
Plus all the little administrative things that just never, ever end.
And that's what the material calls the cost of surface strain. You spend all your mental energy on these sort of shallow but urgent tasks.
Replying to emails, handling logistics, quick compliance checks.
Right, and that eats up all your working memory. There's literally nothing left for the deep, complex thinking that you were actually hired for.
So what happens to the big stuff? The innovation, the strategic planning, building those key relationships.
It just stalls. It can't happen. They talk about an inability to achieve conceptual stretch.
Conceptual stretch, I like that. It means you're so bogged down in the day-to-day that you can't think about system-level changes or navigate a really complex political dynamic or, truly understand what a student needs.
Your brain is stuck.
Stuck in what Daniel Kahneman calls System 1 thinking, fast, instinctive, just reacting.
And that reactive versus responsive distinction is huge, isn't it? Especially for those high-stakes, emotional conversations.
It's everything, because when you're stressed and cognitively maxed out, System 1 takes over. The thoughtful, rational part of your brain, System 2, is offline. It's exhausted.
So an angry parent calls.
And your gut reaction is defensiveness. Or you dismiss them. Because that thoughtful pause and plan process, which is what real empathy requires, it's the first thing to go when you're running on empty. You just react.
Okay, so the core idea here is that Alder Branch steps in to what? Offload that noise.
Precisely. Offload the heavy lifting of information retrieval, the administrative stuff, so that the human has the mental space, that capacity to pause and plan when it really, truly matters.
And they do this with their AI, an ecosystem of, 24 plus of them?
Yeah, more than that now, I think. Each one with a very specific role.
But hold on, AI is everywhere. I mean, what makes these different from just firing up a general large language model?
That's the critical distinction. These are not generic chatbots. The term they use is schema-anchored.
Schema-anchored.
And emotionally intelligent and role-specific. So think of it like this. A generic AI is a massive library. It knows a bit about everything, but you have to find the right book.
Which takes time and energy.
Right. A schema-anchored AI is like a hyper-specialized librarian who only knows one thing, say California education law. But they know every single footnote, every case, every best practice in that domain instantly.
So they have deep expertise built right into their DNA, basically.
Exactly. They become these on-demand relational partners for very specific jobs. They handle the low-level cognitive tasks so you can save your brain power for the hard stuff.
Let's make this real. Give me an example.
Okay, let's start with instruction and talk about Hadley, the instructional consultant.
A huge area of cognitive load for sure,
Yeah.
especially for new teachers.
Hadley is a perfect example of this specialized grounding. It's not built on just general ideas about teaching. It's built specifically on John Hattie's visible learning.
That's the giant synthesis of like 1,600 meta-analyses of what actually works in the classroom.
That's the one. And it also integrates models like the gradual release of responsibility, GRR.
Okay, can you quickly break down GRR for us? Why is that so hard for a teacher?
So GRR is the I do, we do, you do model. The teacher shows how, then they practice together, then the student works alone.
Sounds simple enough.
But getting that timing right, knowing when to let go, when to step back in, that takes intense judgment in the moment. For a new teacher trying to plan a whole week of lessons around it, it can be totally overwhelming.
So instead of teachers spending all weekend cross-referencing their lesson plan with research and district rules, what does Hadley do?
Hadley does it. The teacher uploads their draft lesson plan and asks, hey, does this line up with high-impact practices from visible learning? Is my GRR pacing right?
And the feedback is instant.
Instant. Precise, actionable feedback with citations in seconds. It saves hours of grunt work, freeing up that teacher's mind for the actual act of teaching.
Wow. And you said it's not just for individual teachers.
Right. Think about an instructional coach. Maybe they're running a PLC, a professional learning community, where the teachers are, resistant to a new idea.
A tough spot to be in.
For sure. The coach can ask Hadley, how do I facilitate this conversation when my team is getting defensive? And Hadley gives them evidence-based scripts, meeting agendas. It takes the burden of designing that strategy completely off the coach's plate.
So the coach can focus on the people, not the process.
Exactly. Now let's pivot to something really high stakes. Compliance.
The ultimate cognitive drain for any school leader.
Yeah. This is where we meet Lincoln, the legal guide. The source material has this great image of Lincoln riding shotgun through the wild terrain of California education law.
I love that, because leaders get hit with urgent legal questions constantly. FERPA, IDEA, student discipline.
All of it. And normally a principal has to spend hours digging through these dense, awful government websites, just praying they don't miss some tiny but critical detail.
And the law is always changing.
Right. So Lincoln's value isn't just a simple yes or no. Lincoln gives you the answer, plus the specific code citations, case law, and context.
So a principal can ask, say, what's the timeline for this specific special education meeting?
And Lincoln gives them the exact legal timeline, the specific part of the IDEA law that applies, and explains why.
The why is so important. That must just immediately lower the anxiety level for that leader.
It turns what was a huge, stressful research project into a quick check. It frees up their mind to focus on the kid, the family, the actual relationships involved.
We've done instruction, we've done compliance, but the most innovative part of this seems to be how it handles the emotional side of the job.
This is where we get into the core philosophy. Clarity before contact, rehearsal before response.
Rehearsal.
Yeah. In most professional development, you might talk about de-escalation, but you never actually get to practice it when your heart is pounding. AI roleplay gives you that safe space.
Which brings us to Carlos, the family communication coach. And from what I read, Carlos isn't designed to be easy.
Not at all. Carlos is built on trauma-informed and restorative practices, but the scenarios are, and this is their term, brutal by design.
Brutal by design. Wow. So the user role plays with an AI that's programmed to be difficult.
Exactly. Carlos simulates sarcasm, shutdowns, or full meltdowns. It's designed to test your compassion, your boundaries, your ability to stay calm when the other person is falling apart.
So you're basically building emotional muscle memory. You're practicing for the highest pressure moments.
That's it. If you've already rehearsed what to do with a simulated parent who's screaming at you, you're far less likely to freeze up or get defensive when it happens for real.
You've practiced the pause.
You've practiced the pause, and the debrief afterwards, that's where the real learning happens.
Okay, so what does that look like?
After the role play, Carlos drops the mask. The AI switches from being a simulator to being a coach. It explains exactly what worked, what backfired, and why.
Can you be an example?
Sure. Carlos might say something like, "When you matched my frustrated tone, you escalated the conflict. But when you used that script to validate my feeling, you created an opening for us to solve the problem."
That's incredibly powerful. It forces you to analyze your own reaction, not just feel it. To be responsive, not reactive.
It is pure neuroscience in action. You're literally strengthening the connection between your thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, and your emotional brain, the amygdala. You're training yourself to stay calm under fire.
And there's another one, Cal, right? An AI for social workers, focused on preventing staff burnout.
Yeah, which is so smart. It acknowledges that you can't help regulate others if you aren't regulated yourself. It's about caring for the caregivers.
This all brings us back to a really fundamental question, the ethical one.
Yeah.
If AI is doing all this instructional coaching, legal advice, emotional practice, what's to stop us from becoming totally dependent on it?
That is the question, and the architects seem to have thought about it a lot. Their philosophy is non-negotiable on this point.
Yeah, what's the line?
The AI is a co-pilot, not an autopilot. A human is always in command. The goal is to make things clearer, more connected, but human judgment is final.
So if Hadley suggests a lesson plan, I still have to look at it and decide if it's right for my specific kids.
100%. The terms of use require users to critically think about, verify, and where needed, triangulate important facts or advice.
So it's always guidance, not absolute fact.
Or legal advice. The responsibility and really the act of care always stays with the human.
It sounds like the whole system is designed to reinforce that core mission you mentioned at the start. Rooted in care, growing through our connections.
That's the perfect way to put it. The AI handles the info dump so the human can handle the relationship. It's about offloading the unnecessary cognitive load so we can focus on what actually makes us human.
So when we pull back, this deep dive shows a technology trying to enable a really fundamental shift.
Yeah.
It's a move away from being constantly reactive, drained by all the surface-level noise.
And toward being prepared, responsive, and actually mentally present for the hardest parts of the job.
The human parts of the job.
Human parts.
Yeah.
You know, the sources bring up this one quote again and again. Attention is the root of every act of care.
And attention is the one thing no one has anymore. It's this precious, limited resource.
Exactly.
So here's the final thought. If this technology, or something like it, can actually manage that administrative load, that emotional prep work, if it can really give professionals back their attention.
Allowing them to just listen, to really be present with a student or a parent or a colleague. What does that newfound capacity for real care mean for the future of our relationships inside these institutions?
That's the ultimate test, isn't it? The tech is only as good as the human compassion it restores. If it can care for the people, maybe the people will have the energy left to finally care for each other.
Thanks for joining us on the Intellectual Hike, Forest Friends. Don't forget to visit us at www.alderbranch.org for more free resources and join our friends today. See you for another brain hiking adventure soon.